And good morning. Welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered 7 to 9 a.m., Monday through Friday Eastern. I will be your host, and my name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols. As you can hear, my voice is a little bit thrashed. I did a lot of talking this weekend, a little bit of hooping and hollering at the Georgia Republican Convention in Dalton, Georgia. So bear with me. But thank you guys so much for joining me this morning. It's been a wild weekend. We're going to talk a little bit about the riots and, get into anything else that's going on in the news. And you will notice something that I'm wearing a lot of red, white, and blue today. And I encourage everybody else, if you haven't gotten to work yet, if you're going outside, wear your red, white, and blue. Because we need to make a stand that this is our home. And we are not going to see and stand by and let anybody just come in our house, kick their feet on the coffee table, demand a beer, and then throw that beer at the TV, break it, and be like, what are you going to say about it? Well, you know what? You're going to have to go home. And whatever home that is, but you're not going to stay here. You're not going to call this your home. Okay. That's that's my stance after the unfortunate incidents in California. It's super sad because I grew up in Orange County, California, not necessarily LA. I did live in LA for a short time. And it's just extremely sad, and there are videos out there of Maxine Waters and the mayor of the city saying, we are a sanctuary state. We are a sanctuary city. Oh, really? Okay. Gotcha. So you're okay with people being there illegally. You said it. Because you said documented and undocumented. We don't care if you have your papers or not. Okay, well, you not caring is why we're where we're at. Do not blame President Trump for sending in the National Guard. Thank God he did. Because those ICE agents are there to do a job. It's their job. They defaced government property trying to do their job. Okay, emotionally, people don't like what's going on. You know what? Then come here to this country the right way and people won't get deported. Come here the right way and don't commit other crimes. Okay, they're still catching the people that are sex trafficking, that are raping women and children, and probably men. They're still catching those people in California. Okay, they started with smaller states. Now they're on to a larger state that they have a complete militia. And I'm going to call it as I see it. I don't want to call them an American militia, but I will call them a mob of foot soldiers that are trying to deter our federal government and government employees from doing their job. I'm really hoping that there was enough cameras around that building, because people don't think about that. They have cameras everywhere, like even the ones you can't see, got faces of the people who defaced the building saying F ICE or kill ICE. Really? You're threatening federal employees? Really? But we're supposed to be sympathetic. And we're supposed to say, hey, stay here in our country. Absolutely not. Everybody needs to go home. Because, see, this is where I'm at. Everybody needs to go home. I'm on what Tom Homan is on. You need to leave this country. You don't want to be here. You don't want to be here. You don't want to be here. You want all the benefits of being here, but you don't want to be here. Okay, I need everybody to understand that, because I saw a whole bunch of flags from Mexico and from other countries. And when I did see the American flag, I saw people stomping on it and burning it. My husband served 23 years in the U.S. Army, and it broke his heart to see what was happening. He goes, I fought and I gave my life for this. He's like, I fought to protect people's freedoms. I fought to make sure that our homeland was safe. I left. He did 2 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. 2. And this is what he gets to see. It, like I said, it just broke his heart. And I do not like seeing my husband upset. I don't like it because he served all of us. And we have people that were allowed to come into our country. We need to really remember that these people were allowed to be here, and they shouldn't be here. They truly, truly shouldn't. So I wanted to thank, I want to say US FBA is public enemy number one. Thank you so much for joining us here. I'm going to read their comments on the air. Now it says, FBA don't care. It's none of our business. It's no black or brown coalition. Never have, never will. And that is the stance of most Black Americans, because at one point in time in our country, it's like, oh no, black and brown need to be together. And what happened to that black and brown coalition is a lot of the resources that were set aside for Black Americans started going to brown Americans because they called us minorities. Yeah. Yeah. And you are correct, UFBA. It is not our fight in that sense, right? Like I'm not trying to shut any of this down. This is y'all's fault. Y'all did this. You did this. And you need to clean it up. Don't you call me asking me to clean this up. Don't you call me asking me to stand up for you and people that shouldn't be here. Really, Maxine Waters? Yeah, say her name. Say her name everywhere, because she needs to be censured and removed from Congress. Removed, you guys. Not playing. And when I mean being removed, I'm not talking about them, having her retire or step down. I'm talking about vote her out. I mean a landslide. If Angelinos really don't understand that that woman needs to be gone, especially Black Americans that are still in Los Angeles, if you don't get rid of her, there won't be any more Black people in Los Angeles. Okay? Understand it. And he says, how that Mexican guy that in Chicago, no more money for you. Bye. Bye-bye. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't say what it's just true. It is just true. You brought these individuals over here with a plan to replace us. Oh yeah, I'm going to go over that. Yep, I'm pulling the UN documents. I'm going to go to the source. Because see, this isn't just happening here. This is happening in England. This is happening in Paris. This is happening in Germany. It may not be happening with Hispanic people on that side of the ocean, but it is happening with people from the Middle East. There's so many Muslims I want to say it's in France, that it shuts down the streets because they have to stop and pray wherever they're at, no matter where they're at. Cars can't drive on the street. I've seen the photos. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. If that's what you want, you need to go back to your home country. Don't come to somebody else's country with that. Unless you're going to be respectful, but you don't care. You're like a cancer. You come in and you take over and you destroy places, and then you want to just move on and destroy somewhere else. You are a true cancer. Now, I know there are other Muslims out there that practice their faith in peace, and they're not trying to be a cancer on the planet, but there are some that are. Let's be real. Let's keep that 100. Nobody wants this. What's happening in Los Angeles right now is a disgrace. How did we get here? Well, we got here because there were people that were voted into office, and they made the executive decision that they were just going to open the border. Yeah, literally the executive decision made by Biden to open the border. He said it in his speech when he was running for president. I suggest everybody just search the border. Does anybody remember people kneeling down, wearing Biden Harris t-shirts? How are you got a Biden Harris t-shirt and you on the other side of the border? Stop that. with a child in your hand, like, have sympathy for us, let us in. No. It's like them vampires from Sinners. Yeah, we let y'all in, and now you're trying to take over and destroy everything till everything just burns and is completely gone. But that's the plan, right? That's the plan. The plan isn't necessarily to get us fighting with one another. The plan is to destabilize our country. You know, Maxine Waters kept saying, he wants martial law. The president wants martial law. No, he doesn't. He doesn't want martial law, but you do. You want martial law, Maxine Waters. That's why you keep saying it. You keep saying it because you know once we go under martial law, we will literally be under military occupation. And that's what you want. Because if you didn't want it, these quote unquote protests that became riots wouldn't even be a thing. Wouldn't even be a thing. But you have a bloodthirst to destroy this country. And I'm going to say it out loud. You want this country destroyed. You want to see us underfoot. You want to see us back in chains, as far as I'm concerned. You want slaves. And you want the people that you think you can control to control others. It's got to stop. It truly, truly needs to stop. So I'm going to check out. I want us to check out. Of course, you guys know I like all sides. And what I wanted to look at here were the protests, and these are not protests. Okay, whenever something becomes violent, it is a riot. It is not a protest. A protest is something that you do in the park with a permit, and you got a little stage. And, I want to say in some of the council councilmen and women in Los Angeles, they did have it, and it wasn't necessarily a protest. They had a press conference, right? But a protest could be similar to that, in where people are airing their grievances peacefully. That's it. You air them peacefully. You do not, again, do not stand in front of a detention center so that they cannot do their job. That's why the National Guard was there. I watched videos most of the weekend, which was, unfortunately, I was running a little bit behind this morning because I was up way too late watching some of this stuff on TV unfold. It was just so sad. But it says a series of U.S. immigration and customs enforcement raids in downtown Los Angeles triggered protests and standoffs, drawing condemnation from elected officials and others outraged over the enforcement actions. The details: the ICE raids heightened tensions between agents and protesters, leading to multiple standoffs in downtown Los Angeles on Friday. Viral videos showed ICE agents escorting handcuffed individuals into vehicles as crowds reacted. In one instance, a protester reportedly threw eggs at moving vehicles. Okay, so that's not a protester. That is somebody who's a vandal and a rioter. Okay, it's one of those things. It's like, nope, nope. Mm-mm. So for some context, some Latino residents and the border Los Angeles, and the border Los Angeles community view the recent deportations as escalations. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass has condemned the action, stating it sows a sense of terror. Meanwhile, LA's ABC stations have highlighted protesters' actions, including throwing objects at ICE and ICE vehicles and standing in front of them. ICE agents allegedly responded by using tear gas. What other options did they have? This was a mob. They were throwing rocks into their cars. There was actually an ICE agent, I think he got cut on his hand driving. because one of the rocks went through the windshield of the car. That's not a protester, sir, ma'am, whoever. I'm just saying, we cannot keep calling these people protesters. They're not protesters. They're vandals and they're rioters. Okay. They are instigating and causing civil unrest. A protester was standing there, we don't like what you're doing, maybe with a sign. We don't like what's happening here. Yeah, that's protesting. You use your voice to say, we don't like this. But when you start throwing things and you start standing in front of vehicles, no, that's not protesting. And we need to start calling it what it is. These people want civil unrest. These people are criminals and vandals and rioters. That is what they are. That is what they are. And this is how the media covered it. So Los Angeles, that leans left bias, shocker, largely focused on the reaction from the elected officials and protesters, emphasizing their criticism of the enforcement actions as cruel and unnecessary. In contrast, Breitbart, that leans right, framed its report around the tense confrontations between ICE agents and protesters. The outlet also included a statement from a Homeland Security spokesperson defending the legality of the actions. Routers that center provided a neutral report on the events, detailing the standoffs between riot police and protesters. Again, these people are not protesters. Whenever you have to bring out riot police, it's because there's a riot going on. It's because there's a riot going on. And when you're saying, the spokesperson defending the legality of the actions, they're talking about the people that they were picking up. See, they're still picking up people that are, like I said earlier, that are molesters and child traffickers. They're still picking these people up. And a lot of them are in Los Angeles because it's so large and they can hide. They're hiding there. Okay. It's hard for you to hide in Kansas. You stick out like a sore thumb and everyone will find you. That's why the guy from Maryland, that's why he's in jail. Yeah, they brought him back from El Salvador, but guess what? He's still going to be in jail here. And guess what? I don't want my taxpayers going to 3 hots in the cot for this person. I want this person off the shores. So we're going to have to work something out. I don't know where he's from, but whatever monies we are sending to whatever said country that he's from, we need to take that money back and send him somewhere else. We can send him there's a African prison they're building. We can send him there. This person never needs to see the light of day again, ever. He committed multiple crimes. He was deported twice. Department of Justice, you need to handle this. I need y'all to grow some stones up in the White House administration. And I know President Trump has the stones because he had to send out the National Guard this weekend. But yeah, DOJ, do not capitulate to these people. Ever. See, I'd have left him in El Salvador and said, what? Say something else, Congressman. Keep on beating that drum for this criminal. And we need to remember that these congressmen and women are demanding that criminals be released. They are not for you. They are not for freedom. They do not want to see the United States of America flourish. They don't, because if they did, they would not be supporting these criminals. They're supporting criminal activity, and we need to shut this down. It needs to be shut down. So this is just, all sides. This is how they view everything from the left, right, and center. And as you can see here, that's not a protest. Okay. These people literally went and shut down the 110 freeway. Now, there might not be some people up this early in California because it's only 4:30 there, but I grew up in California. And I know what the 110 freeway looks like, and it is always backed up unless it's maybe 2 in the morning and you hope that there's no construction going on and you can get, back and forth on it. But it is a major interstate with people driving at least, 70 miles an hour unless there's bumper to bumper traffic. And these people stopped traffic again because it happened before. I want to say it happened back in like February, April this year. They were protesting when Donald Trump had got inaugurated, and they were talking about, getting, shutting people down and getting all of these people here that were here legally off the soil. Yeah. So it's happened more than once. And people were like, why is the National Guard there? There were only 2,000 of them. And you only 2,000 seems like a lot. You got to. Los Angeles is comprised of over 10 million people. And that's a low estimate. And I'm just talking about the city. I'm not talking about the surrounding cities that compile Los Angeles County. Millions of people to 2,000. Yeah. I had to get some numbers in perspective. And people were still throwing things at them when they were trying to let ICE do their job. Yeah, it was a Sunday, but ICE doesn't shut down. ICE is 24/7. 24/7. Trying to keep us safe. And they're calling ICE the KKK. Really? You're really going to call them the KKK? But you support Democrats who actually, oh yeah, that's right. They started the KKK. Who are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Now there also is La Raza, which I heard in the video. And if anybody doesn't know what La Raza is, look it up. Laraza. Yeah, the race. And they are basically the Hispanic version of what we have as the KKK. And they don't like anybody. If you are not of Hispanic descent, basically you're an infidel in their eyes. You are nothing. And they are superior. Yep. Look it up. Look it up. Just saying. And that's the mentality of a lot of these individuals that are Latino in Los Angeles. That's their attitude. We're superior. Okay, you can look, you are entitled to whatever it is, but you're gonna stop using my tax dollars to pay for you. That's what you're gonna stop doing. You're going to self-deport. That's what you are gonna do. Because I don't ever want you on the soil. And if you are here legally as a Latino and you're like, death to America, you can leave too. You do not have to be here. You do not have to be here. No, our country is not perfect, but it's better than where your people come from. That's why you're here. But what you're not going to continue to do is use our resources and kill us off at the same time. I want to shut down. I want all funding to any and all undocumented persons shut down. Stop using our money. All these NGOs using our tax dollars to basically facilitate an invasion. I want all that money shut off. I want any and all monies for attorneys, for immigration status, for any of that. Shut it off. Shut it all off, President Trump, if you can hear me. For everyone, from any country. I don't care where they are on the planet. If they are using any type of NGOs, our tax dollars, to get citizenship here, to get housing here, to get food or clothing here, shut it off. Every single penny. And I want my money back. Oh, and guess what? I'm ready to send people to jail that are facilitating this through NGOs. Yeah, because we found out in Chicago that there was a program that was actually set aside for Black Americans. And guess what they did? They were using it for people that were here illegally, all caught on camera. Yeah, DOJ is investigating that right now. I want y'all to go home. I don't want you on this soil because you don't care about this country. You don't want to be here. You just want the benefits of being here, but you don't want to be an American. You don't care about this country. So go home. I'll make it real easy for you. Just go home. And with that, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, I really want to look at the United Nations, some of their policies that they have in place that they want to see more illegal immigration or migration, to the United States and other countries, because they really don't care about the demise of other nations. They just want to create a new slave class. Facts are facts. So I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll see you guys on the other side.
At All Sides, we believe unbiased news doesn't exist. To get more clicks and make more money, media outlets often report news with a left, right, or sensational slant, either to suit their own agenda or because by telling us what we want to hear, we'll come back for more. Several news outlets in the center do a good job of portraying both sides equitably, but for the most part, American news media is biased. Bias isn't necessarily a bad thing. The key is to get multiple perspectives. But making matters worse, social media and internet search results are heavily filtered, showing us the most popular opinion or results that match our preferences and make us happy. That means we're all living in filter bubbles, where we're only exposed to viewpoints we already agree with, making us less informed and less tolerant of different people and ideas. At All Sides, we give bias ratings for hundreds of media outlets. By freeing people from filter bubbles and providing different perspectives, we can all be better equipped to understand the world and each other. So how do we do it? All Sides has created a patented, fair, transparent process to rate the media bias of hundreds of news outlets and writers. We assess each media source and rate them as far left, center, lean right, or far right, allowing you to quickly identify different perspectives. All Sides is constantly evolving our media bias engine. The more you participate, the better our ratings will be, and the better our news coverage will be. Go to allsides.com to get involved.
And we are back. Thank you so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News. And before we go to the United Nations website, I wanted to bring up this individual that our individuals in U.S. Congress are caping after. So remember that gentleman, Kilmar Brago Garcia, that they keep calling the Maryland man or Maryland dad or whatever? He's been charged with transporting unauthorized immigrants into the U.S. and will return from detainment in El Salvador to face the charges. So they're bringing him back from El Salvador to face charges. Because remember, there was that, I forget the congressman's name, that went down to see him and have margaritas with him and all this other nonsense. You're caping for a criminal. Like, this dude is a criminal, been deported twice, and you're wanting to have margaritas with him like he needs to come back. If anybody votes for a Democrat in 2026, it's sad. And I know you don't want to vote for a Republican either. Okay, then find a candidate you want to vote for. And I also wanted to preface something. I'd said everybody wear your red, white, and blue. And a lot of times when you say stuff like that, and I know I'm probably fading out because I have a blue-black background. I didn't think about that. I was like, oh, I'm wearing my red, white, and blue. I wonder if I'll fade. But Tinuvel, what ends up happening is a lot of times we don't talk about the people who also support America, like libertarians. And there are independents out there that don't want to see this going on. There are Democrats out there that don't want to see this happening. And if you are a Democrat that's out there and you don't want to see this country destroyed, you need to stand up. You need to stand up against this because your silence is your position. That's your position. You being silent about this lets everybody assume that you're okay with all of this nonsense going on. Make your voice heard in opposition to our country being destroyed. Okay, and back to it. So the details are Abrego Garcia was allegedly part of a years-long conspiracy to transport thousands of non-citizens from Mexico and Central America in exchange for thousands of dollars, according to the unsealed indictment. Per anonymous sources cited by ABC News that leans left, Abrego Garcia participated in over 100 such trips, some of which allegedly transported children and members of the El Salvadorian gang MS-13. So for context, in March, Abrego Garcia was deported to El Salvador despite a judge's order granting him temporary protection. Why are you protecting a criminal? Like literally, why are you protecting a criminal? It 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 makes me wonder what MS-13 has on these judges and these congressmen that keep interfering like this. That's what I see. I don't know what you guys see, but that's what I see. Says the Trump administration admitted the error but maintained that Abrego Garcia is a member of MS-13. Last month, body cam footage emerged from a 2022 traffic stop in which Abrego Garcia was pulled over for speeding with 8 other people in the vehicle. None of the individuals had luggage. All listed the same address as Abrego Garcia, who said the group was working construction in Missouri. Follow our daily updates on Garcia and other cases of controversial deportations and detainments. Yeah, 8 people living at that house, and they're all in construction. Okay, I guess that's how they're doing it, you know. And I'm gonna mention some things of there's some job openings, y'all. People have gotten deported. If you're an American, you might want to go to Home Depot because there are still construction jobs out there. I was on a space last night and people were talking about it. They need CDL drivers. They need people to take up these jobs that were given to people here illegally that are being deported, because the truck drivers that have to take that test, and if they cannot read, write, or speak English, yeah, they're being deported on the spots. They're being caught up. So we need CDL drivers. We need construction workers. So go to Home Depot if you're an American, even if you have a record and your record's been absolved, right? Go to Home Depot and get a job. Because you might end up making a job where you're able to make $500, $700 cash in a day. And then, work on getting your training from there, either as an electrician, welder, whatever you need to do. But I'm just telling American citizens, especially those that have been formerly incarcerated, this is your opportunity to get in there because you've been labeled as lazy and you're not lazy. You just haven't been given the opportunity. So take the opportunity now. So this is how the media covered it. Garcia has become the poster boy for the left in the accusations that the Trump administration's deportation efforts have been or broken the laws on immigrants and their due process rights, according to the Blaze That's right bias. And, the Blaze, they're just saying what other agencies and Democrats have said. There's nothing in our Constitution that says that illegal people get due process. There's nothing that's worded that way. They want to see it that way. And yes, the Supreme Court, you got it wrong. You got it wrong. You got it wrong. And I'm okay telling you that because you're not God. You're human beings that are supposed to basically look at the Constitution as it is and uphold it with cases that reach your desk. And you're not supposed to put in your feelings and your emotions and your partisan rhetoric into those decisions. Yeah, Supreme Court, and I'm just saying it for the right and the left, all 9 of you, I want you retired. Because you don't care about this country. You don't. Yes, all 9 of you. And a lot of people sit there, oh my gosh, how could you say that? Trump put people in. He did. The wrong ones. And they've proven themselves to be the wrong ones. And we won't even speak about the other ones that were put in there prior. All of you need to retire. All of you. And we need better people in there that actually respect the Constitution and respect the citizens of this country and want to do the job. Because any of you taking gifts over $25 should be criminal, period. Anybody doing favors for you and we find out about it, you should be stepping down. And you know who you are. But back to it. So ABC highlighted a statement from Abrego Garcia's lawyer who said, we're not just fighting for Kilmar, we're fighting to ensure due process rights are protected for everyone. No, you're not. You're using the Constitution and you're picking and choosing what parts of it you want to use. If you are not a citizen of this country, the Constitution does not cover you. That's why you have an embassy from the country that you have jurisdiction under. And you fall under those laws. You don't fall under our laws. If you are not a citizen, the Constitution isn't yours. Just because you're here doesn't mean you're protected by the Constitution. Doesn't mean you get to exercise the rights of the Constitution if you are not a naturalized citizen, period. And that needs to be laid out. We need to have this argument because you can't just pick and choose which parts of the Constitution you want to use and then throw out everything else. And then on top of that, disrespect the country. I mean, y'all are wild. Y'all are wild. It's not for everyone, even though they keep trying to say it over and over again. I'm standing up against that. No. And this is because tomorrow, this could be any one of us. Yeah, right. You see, what you've done is you've given laws to protect people that are criminals, but then citizens are treated worse than the criminals that are actually committing criminal activity. We're treated worse because you're disrespecting our laws. It's crazy. It's crazy. It says if we let power go unchecked, if we ignore our Constitution, really. Left and center rated sources often highlighted Abrego Garcia's wrongful removal in their headlines or early in their articles. Right rated outlets didn't. No, they didn't. Because this guy is not a citizen of our country, first of all. Again, he was deported twice in 2016 and in 2023. And this congressperson was demanding his release, basically saying it was an administrative error at the end of the day. It was how they went about it. They're like, he needs due process. There is no due process. Your due process is when you get caught and you are here illegally, they send you back to your country. Now, they didn't pop a cap in the side of your head and send you back in a body bag. No, they sent you back to your country alive and intact and told your country you need to deal with them. Mexico was like, we don't want these people back. Venezuela was like, we don't want these people back. And my whole thing is, okay, then we're going to take the money that we're giving you for all of these individuals that you don't want back. And we're going to take that money. We're going to still send them to prison somewhere. You can send them to El Salvador, send them to Africa, send them somewhere. And again, it's our tax dollars paying for it. So I'm really tired of that. That's why I'm saying take the money from these countries that we send money to and use that money. Yeah, use that money. Use the money you would give them to pay for that. I'm okay with that. I just want people off of our soil. I want people to stop destroying our country as if they have a right to. And our congressmen and women, especially those that are within the Democratic Party, supporting all of this. You're supporting this. It's disgusting. It is truly, truly disgusting. Now, I wanted to read from the United Nations. So, what a lot of people don't understand is this is a systematic destruction of the world, really. In my opinion, they want to see the world destroyed. And it's based on these goals here. Okay. So, no poverty. All right. In poverty in all forms everywhere. Well, how do you do that? Well, you put poor people in a rich country and you demand that they get to stay there. But guess what? You bring you with you. And if you're uncivilized, you're going to bring that with you. If you do not know how to make things or work, you bring that with you. No. Why don't you focus on building up countries where they are and don't suffer brain drain? I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay with that. But don't shift them other places. Zero hunger. In hunger, achieve food security and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. Well, you know what happened? We got COVID a couple years ago. And you know what happened? Things stopped flowing to other countries that needed resources. But the sad part was they weren't independent enough to develop it themselves. Again, there needs to be some interdependence. This whole thing of let's just fix it temporarily, maybe with money, and not really teaching people how to be self-sustainable, it's not working. It just isn't working. Ensure healthy lives and promote well-being at all ages. People are tired of being vaccinated. That's what this amounts to. Quality education. Ensure inclusive and equitable education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Okay, this translates to what we have here in America, CRT. You know, our kids can't read, write, or do math, but they sure know their pronouns. That's what this is. You need to actually teach people so that they can go on and not be hungry or in poverty. You know why? Because they could actually hold a job. They would have the education, but they need to be self-sustaining. All right, here we go. Here we go, y'all. Gender equality. See, it's this stuff why our world is in trouble. Our planet is in trouble because of this. Stop it. Just shut this down. That's what's hilarious. It says, achieve gender equality, empower all women and girls. Are we empowering women and girls right now, y'all? I don't think so. I think Simone Biles and Riley Gaines, they were just in a little bit of a uh, spat on X. In a little bit of a spat on X. Where Biles was asking Gaines, like, well, you know, you basically should let men in women's spaces. What is this about? You want to empower all women and girls, but you know the stupid side to this, you'll say, but you don't have to be a biological woman. You just defeated your argument. The goal number 5 doesn't even exist because it's not even where you guys are mentally. It's dumb. But let's continue. Clean water and sanitation management of water and sanitation for all. Yes, again, this comes back to no brain drain, teaching people how to be self-sustaining in their own countries. Don't go other places. Teach them how to put the resources there and build it up there. Affordable clean energy. What does that mean? Well, that's where, people want everybody on electricity and wind and solar, which are okay, but they're not as efficient as fossil fuels. But there are forms of energy out there that can be used, right? And there are countries out there that have precious mineral resources that can be used. But here's the thing, they still need to keep you poor and on the dole to control you. So you really don't want this, because if you did, we'd already have it. We would already have it. So decent work and what was this one? Decent work and economic growth. So promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. Translates DEI. Okay? Yeah, that's what that translates to. And it's helped no one to achieve anything better. You know what we have now? We have people that cannot read, cannot write, and cannot do math. But again, they know their pronouns. That's what we have with goal 8. Now 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. What does that even mean? All right. Wusa, translate. Let me translate some of that for you. Build resilient infrastructure. Okay. I could get behind, okay, building a building. Let's just make it a building that can sustain life. Let's just say that. And it's resilient. It's not going to break down maybe in a thunderstorm or something. Okay. But when we get to promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization. When I hear the inclusive part and sustainable industrialization, that for me translates into you're making it about a certain group of people, right? You're trying to exclude other people from it. And then you want to say foster innovation. It's a whole bunch of fancy words that say we only want this for a certain segment of people. We don't want it for another segment of people because those people are probably not going to be inclusive. Yeah. Reduce inequalities. Reduce inequality within and among countries. Okay, first of all, yeah, there are going to be some countries that do better than others. There just are, right? Some people are going to have better resources, some people are going to have better education, some people are going to have better land. When you say reduce inequality, oh, you want everybody to be equal? That's never going to happen. Never going to happen. There's always going to be somebody who's unequal to somebody else. Like right now, people, they used to call United States the world superpower. And since that time, all people have wanted to do is level it out and destroy it because they want the United States underfoot. Because see, we're one of the countries among all countries, we know we're free. Yeah, it's not perfect. And yeah, there are some days it's kind of trash, like what we're going through right now. But at the end of the day, we have our freedoms. And if we allow them to continue to destroy our freedoms, we're going to be here, this inequality among countries. We're not going to reduce inequality. People are always going to be unequal. Stop that. Stop it. Because what you're doing right now to the United States is trying to reduce inequality. You're trying to say, okay, it's all unequal. We basically need everybody from the poorest to the richest to just to balance out. No. It's not going to happen. And trust me, people that make it from the bottom to the top, they don't want that either. Because they're like, well, I worked hard for mine. I don't want to just give up my life to help somebody else like that. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't maybe help and put an infrastructure in place or, teach us how you got there, show us. But it takes hard work from everyone, and everybody's not going to do the same thing. We're going to have people that are welders. We're going to have people that are carpenters. We're going to have people that are interior designers. Not everybody's going to have the same job. Just saying, they're not. But here we go, y'all. Number 11, sustainable cities and communities. Yeah, this stuff. Make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. You know what this spells to me? This spells slavery. That's all it looks like to me. Human settlements? What is that even? Yeah, shouldn't we all be human? Mic check. Did I miss something? Yeah, we're all human. When did we stop being human? Are there going to be a whole bunch of robots in this city? Because you said human settlements inclusive. I don't know. I'm telling you, the United Nations, y'all need to be disbanded because y'all are on something else. Y'all are on something else. And what it's not is it's not about humanity. Not at all. Not at all. I don't like number 11. Well, I don't like any of them. But number 11, you can miss me. So responsible consumption and production. Okay. Ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. Okay, so you want to control what I consume and what I produce. That's slavery. Not about it. Not about it. Whoever wrote this, you like slavery. You like it. You love it. You live in it. You wallow in it. It's who you are. It's who you guys are. Climate action. All right. Take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. Okay. Here's my take on climate change. Why don't you look at the companies that are dumping poison in the water and stop allowing them to do it? That's all I'm saying. But you don't. EPA, FDA, you don't. You don't monitor these people. And then you want to turn around and be like, okay, citizens, you guys need to stand up for climate change and everything that's good. How are we standing up for what's good when we don't control what comes out of your sewage? We don't control that, but you do. And there have been multiple infractions of companies that literally put poison in lakes and rivers. And they know that the people are consuming this stuff. And nothing happens to these companies. Oh, that's right, because we want to make sure that they're making money from the things that we consume. And they give the EPA and the FDA a little bit of extra money on the side. And anybody out there can be like, oh, that doesn't happen. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Because a lot of these people that work for the EPA and the FDA, they go and work for those corporations. And they teach them and tell them how to get around these things, the wording to use. And then they have friends that they left that are in these government agencies and they work with them. I'm not even going to use air quotes because I think everybody understands where I'm going with this. It's incestuous and it needs to stop. I got your climate change. Stop getting paid off, FDA, EPA, and do your job. And that's it. Life below water. Okay. Conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. Okay. Like I just said, we're throwing poison in the water. We don't care. Again, this falls at the EPA and the FDA's feet. You were created to help. Falls at your feet. What you doing? Because I'm not going to be out somewhere talking about climate. No. But I will be in somebody's office saying, why are you taking this kickback, FDA, EPA, congressman or woman? Because that's what this all comes back to. This all comes back to our federal government. This lies at your feet. This is at your feet. This stuff. And United Nations, again, needs to be abolished and made illegal. Period. You don't care about the planet. You don't care about human life. You don't care. You want it ended so that the 1% who've already said we have too many people on the planet can live comfortably. Yeah, stop making bunkers then. That's all I'm saying. Stop making bunkers. Okay, goal 15, protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably manage forests, combat deforestation, and halt and reverse land degradation and halt biodiversity loss. Okay, well, you need to talk to Bill Gates, who wants to terraform literally the planet, who has bought hundreds of acres of forestry here in the United States, and all he wants to do is tear it down. Why don't you go talk to him? Oh, yeah, that's right. He works with y'all. He probably put this in here. That dude. That guy. We want the trees here, especially here in Georgia. Every time I turn around, they're knocking down trees to put in another subdivision. I don't know who's moving here, but it's going to be hundreds of thousands of people because they are building homes everywhere and they're building apartments everywhere. And I'm really good if people don't want to be here. I'm good. Sometimes I want to say there's a whole bunch of rednecks and racists and you really don't want to be here, but they're not. They're actually good, wonderful, loving people here. And I don't want to see them taken advantage of. That's what I don't want to see, ever. So peace and justice and strong institutions. Promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. It sounds good. But see, in the United States, we have a constitution. It's for we the people. And it's so that we don't have to capitulate to nonsense like this. So we kind of have number 16 covered. And we don't need you coming over here telling us how to run our country. Okay? Understand me. 16 is off the table. We're not doing the whole inclusive, sustainable nonsense. Because all that spells is slavery. Okay? That's why other people are trying to get over here to our country. You need to go home. If you don't respect the United States, you need to go home. If you are not ready to denounce the country that you came from, you need to go back there. Oh, and by the way, your money's being cut off too. All that money you were getting, that whole TPS and, humanitarian parole and all that under the Social Security, you're being cut off. And I'm glad. I'm excited about it. And the last one, partnership for the goals. See, this is when it becomes a religion for me. All of these goals, and I'm using air quotes for those that are listening to me by audio. This is all ideology. This is a religious mindset. This is a religious mindset. These people believe this stuff and they live it. And they are like, we need you to go along with it. Nope, because this is your church. This is your church. Sustainable development goals. This is a church. Calling it, like I said, it's a cult too. It's a cult church. Yep, calling it. And everybody out there knows it too. And that's why we don't want it up in here. So it says strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. Nope. I'm not trying to speak for all United States citizens, but no, we don't want any of this. This is disgusting. All this spells as slavery, sustainable and development goals. No. And for most Black Americans, no, we're not going. We're not going. This is slavery. That's all this is. Because see, if you say, hey, we're here to promote for women and empower women, no, you're not. You definitely don't care about women. Because you'll turn around and say, even if you're not biologically a woman, we still want to empower you. What? The argument's gone. It's gone. What are we talking about? So I wanted to go through those sustainable goals with you because I know a lot of people out there, when certain individuals go, yeah, the United Nations and they got this and you go, oh, you guys are just talking. You're crazy. No, I showed you, you saw it. I read through each one of them and I had a counter argument to every single one of them. This is a cult. It is a mindset. It is a religion. This is what people live by, these goals. And we're not doing it here in the United States. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to look at another area of the United Nations that I really want you guys to see. And this is tying into what's happening with the riots. So I want to let you guys know that this is still looking at how we even got to the riots. But part of why we got to those riots are these sustainable goals. Okay. So I'll see you guys on the other side.
We've unified our end-to-end encrypted services to make them easier to use together, because privacy should be the default for everyone. With the new Proton ecosystem, you can add events to Proton Calendar automatically when you accept an invitation. Easily share large files with a secure Proton Drive link. Send secure Proton Drive links privately with Proton Mail.
And we are back. Thank you so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. And my name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols. I will be your host. And so in our last segment, we were looking at the UN Sustainable Goals. There's 17 sustainable goals that they have. In the last segment, I was explaining how it is actually a cult. It is. I want to see the UN abolished. And as you can see on my screen, I have the words replacement migration. Now, a lot of people have probably heard of this. Let me see if I can make it. Nope, I can't make it full screen. Sorry, I'm trying to get rid of this little thing over here. There we go. There we go. I was just like, I just want a whole screen. And so this is from the United Nations Secretariat. Okay, Population Division, Department of Economic and Social Affairs. Okay, so this does fall under United Nations, and it says replacement migration. And a lot of people said, no, replacement migration isn't true. They're not doing it. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And guess how long they've been doing it? Okay, this was published in 2000. Yeah, March 21 of 2000 to be exact. So 25 years ago. All right. Look, 25 years ago, where we are right now is where they expect us to be. Okay. I want you guys to know that. Replacement migration is a solution to declining and aging populations. So their goal was to replace the existing populations wherever they were. You know what? We have something called replacement migration in the United States. It's called having babies and raising them up to be decent citizens who do the same thing that you've done. And then you perpetually have up a nation of citizens who uphold the country, right? Where we are. We don't need to bring other people into our country to sustain it. We're good. We're good. All of y'all can go home. You can go back to your home countries. You can go back there and do your thing over there, because obviously you don't know how to follow laws. You don't respect anybody over here. And then you come over here and demand people respect you. You can go home. Everybody. If you are not from here, and maybe you came here in the past 10 years, you can go home. I'm telling you right now, you can go home 15, 20, 30 years. You can go home. I'm okay with it. Leave. Oh, don't forget your family. Take them with you. We don't want you here if you are not about being a United States citizen, period. And we're not going to change who we are. We're not going to capitulate to whatever you bring over here. You bring destruction over here, take it back home with you. We don't want it. We don't want it. But I need people to understand replacement migration is not a myth. It's real. They've been wanting to destroy countries for years, and they've been successful in some areas. I'm just telling you. So it says the designations and the presentation of the material in this publication do not imply the expression of any whatsoever on the part of the Secretariat of the United Nations concerning the legal status of any country, city, or area, or its authorities, or concerning the delimitation of its frontiers or boundaries. Yeah, you had to put that in there to CYA. That's why that's in there. Because if it did lead to something like that, you don't want to be held liable. I'm paralegal, kind of reading through the lines. So the designations developed and developing countries and more developed and less developed regions are intended for statistical convenience and do not necessarily express a judgment about the stage reached by a particular country or area in the development process. The term country, as used in the text of this publication, also refers as appropriate to territories or areas. Yeah, y'all want to destroy the planet. Like, again, the United Nations needs to be abolished. And anybody in there who's committed a humanitarian crime, they need to go to prison. We're not going to read through everything, but I will make sure I add this into my post after the show, because you guys know I kind of clip out the show and add things into it. But I'll definitely make sure I put this in here. But there's the preface, but I wanted to look at the citation. It says replacement migration. Is it a solution to a declining and aging population? May also be accessed on the Population Division Worldwide website. And here's the website here. For further information, please contact, and they give the office name of the United Nations. So this is for this particular publication of replacement migration. Like I said, a lot of people don't think it's real. It's totally real. So I have another message from, Sebastian Cumberbatch. Okay. Reposted this stream. Thank you so much, Sebastian, and good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News. So again, like I said, I don't want to read through the whole thing, but I just wanted to go over some of it and just scroll through it so you guys can see, right? These are the countries that they're looking at. France. Remember I mentioned France earlier? Germany, Italy, Japan, Republic of Korea, Russian Federation, United Kingdom, Britain, and North Ireland, the United States of America, Europe, and the European Union. When they were talking about replacement migration, they were talking about bringing other people from other countries into these countries that are listed. Okay. You see any Muslim countries listed there? You see Iran? You see Iraq listed there? You see Afghanistan? No, you don't. Because they want them brought over into these countries that were doing extremely well before all of this. Where are we now? Look for any of them. Look for just one. In Germany, they've got people wearing burqas. Native Germans that have bought into the Muslim culture. They've integrated it into the schools in teaching the Islamic faith. Yeah. These things are happening. Like I said, I'm not going to go through the entire document, but I wanted you to at least see this. None of these countries are from the Middle East. Russia's not even on here. Ukraine, nope. Because the European Union, they're not a part of the European Union. They're not a part of, okay, here we go. Russian Federation. I was like, but Ukraine's not listed on here. Sorry, I missed that. But Ukraine's not listed on here. Kiev, maybe they fall within the European Union, I guess. But this is the disgusting part. Let's see. China's not on here. You got Korea, you got Japan. You don't have China. So with China, why aren't y'all on the list? Why can't people come into your country? Huh? Why aren't you on this list? Yeah. It's stuff like that I find fascinating. But again, I'm going to add it so that you guys can see it because I want you to see it. And the last thing we're going to go over, and this is something that we were talking about in a space yesterday held by Mark Carter. And he's been really sounding the alarm on this. And it's called Office of New Americans. Office of New Americans. And this is another thing that people have said, well, it doesn't exist. We don't know about it. We've never heard about these things. No, it does exist. It's been around for a while. And it's how our resources, especially here in the United States, is being circumvented and given to people who are not of this soil. But they're using our tax dollars against us. And I've about had it. Like I said earlier in this stream, I need more. I need more Doge. You know what I'm saying? I need more of us stopping this because I don't want to get killed off. I don't want my country at a deficit because there are people in places of authority that have signed on to a death cult. You signed on to a death cult. When I saw what was happening in Los Angeles yesterday, I was like, no. You know, now, and I heard this in one of the reports I listened to, you know, President Trump is considering bringing troops. And people go, oh, okay, some 500 troops. That's a lot of people. And the reason why he has to bring them is because that's where we're at. The National Guard cannot handle this. The National Guard, they're in between the military and the police, right? They're a little bit stronger than the police, but they're not as forceful as the military, but they serve to have a good presence so people can go, okay, y'all are here. We need to be more respectful, right? Like that's their position. They disrespected the National Guard, throwing stuff at them, cussing at them, getting in their faces. What is wrong with you? What is really, truly wrong with people? I mean, off the chain. But you want, at the same time, you want these people to protect you. And they do. And they do it even though you cuss and scream at them and call them Nazis and call them sycophants for America. Make it make sense. Either you're going to stand up for this country or you're not. These men and women are sacrificing their lives to protect you, and you're cussing them out? Whose side are you on? I saw it. Yeah, you'll see some video with a lady in a dinosaur costume. That was her rhetoric. And I think she's on X. We'll see. But it says, together with World Education Services, the council supports and co-convenes an emerging nationwide Office of New Americans, ONA, state network. Through this network, the council and WES provide a forum for state policy leaders to drive positive change that supports immigrant and refugee integration into the workforce and economy. The ONA state network brings together a wide-ranging group of state officials to share best practices in immigrant and refugee integration and act as a critical anchor to help these populations fully integrate into their communities. In addition to supporting the work of existing state offices and immigration policy staff, the ONA state network extends the following support to officials from other states exploring the possibility of establishing a state-level Office of New Americans, a task force of a dedicated staff position on immigrant and refugee integration issues. Did anybody sign up for this or say that this was okay? Did anybody? Because I didn't. But my tax dollars are paying for it. Okay. No. Whatever this Office of New Americans needs to be abolished. President Trump, if you're listening. If you are listening, I want this abolished. I want the United Nations abolished. You can put ONA on the terrorist watch list. Yep. You can make them a terrorist organization. And here's why. Because of this organization, they support these immigrants coming over here and abusing people and using our tax dollars to do it. Oh yeah, I'm calling you out. These are the same people that support the Maryland dad that we were reading about earlier. Yeah, that guy that had been deported twice before being arrested and apprehended by ICE. This ONA needs to be abolished. And, tomorrow I'm going to, dig a little deeper, find out their funding source, and make sure that I report on it tomorrow because it needs to stop. It's not to anybody's benefit to do this. And they are all over the United States already. They do peer-to-peer mentoring, coaching, and technical assistant policy analysis, tailored economic research. Here's the thing. If you spent this much time and using these resources for Americans, we would be in a better place. But this is a part of that replacement migration that we just looked at. Okay? It just sounds pretty, but you're facilitating an invasion of my country, and I'm not going to sit back and take it. I'm not going to allow it. See, as a founder of the Redemption Party, I'm going to find a whole lot of people that want to run for office to shut this down. Period. So whoever you are working in these facilities for ONA, you better dust off your resume because this is no longer going to be an organization that stands. It's going to be deemed a terrorist organization facilitating an invasion of our country. And we're not going to stand for it. And we're definitely not going to allow you to use our taxpayers to do it. That's the thing that I need everybody to see. We've got American Immigration Lawyers Association. I got your immigration lawyer. Unless you are helping people that are coming here legally, I don't want to talk to you. This is about illegal people. This isn't about legal people. And it's disgusting. And with that, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll do some recapping. We're going to go back and look at one other site that I really think you guys will find interesting. But again, thank you for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News, and we'll see you guys on the other side. And we are back. Thank you so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols, and I will be your host. And so we're going to wrap up the show. We're talking about Cities for Action. And a lot of people will be like, well, what is that? Well, let me read it to you. So Cities for Action, or C4A, the number 4, is a coalition of nearly 200 U.S. mayors and county executives advocating for pro-immigrant federal policies and launching innovative, inclusive programs and policies at the local level. So we went to United Nations, right? And we got to see what their sustainable goals are, right? Their cult. Then, right? Then we went to ONA, which is Office for New Americans. Okay, so no, we went to replacement migration. Sorry, we saw the replacement migration. So I had to walk you guys through these agencies and organizations that are trying to destroy the world. They literally are trying to destroy the world. I'm okay with teaching others how to build up their own country. Cool with that, because they should, so that they can be interdependent, right? And they may have a way to sustain themselves, but they just need to be shown how to do it, right? Totally okay with that. But don't bring them to other countries that are doing well, and then they take over those countries, and those countries look like the countries that they just left. And that's what's happening. I showed you the list of the replacement migration countries. They want to bring in people from other countries to those countries that were on the list. And I'm so sorry I missed Russia, but Russia was on that list as well. Okay. Russia, the United States, France, Germany, UK. I'm sorry, not UK, but Europe and the European Union. They were all there. And who do you think they were going to replace them with? People from other countries that were Middle Eastern countries that aren't doing well. Period. And they're showing a lot of people with melanated skin. These first two, they're not Black Americans. They're from somewhere. And we've got our other Asian counterparts here. They might be from the Philippines, or they might be from some other country. Then we've got, this father-daughter here. They might be Latino. And then we've got another Middle Eastern family. The lady she's wearing a hijab. It's not a burqa. But in some countries, like I said, even in Germany, they're bringing them with them, demanding that these women start wearing burqas and hijabs, even if they're not a part of the Muslim faith. What is that? That's replacement migration. And I needed to show you that it is not only affecting the world. When we drill down to where we are now, we've got Cities for Action. This is in our backyard, y'all. This is right here in our country, in the United States, at the local level, because it says they're trying to do inclusive programs and policies at the local level. So those sustainable goals that I showed you guys, the replacement migration that I showed you guys, the ONA that I showed you guys, this is how they're executing it. This needs to stop. President Trump, if you're listening, Cities for Action, this is another terrorist organization. And it is a terrorist organization because they're writing policies to eliminate American citizens. Period. It needs to end. Any mayors on here, any executives promoting this at the county level, I want prison time. Oh, I want you in jail for participating with this. I want this deemed a terrorist organization, and I want it shut down. I want it thoroughly investigated. DOJ, if you are listening, period. I'm not going to sit back and watch my country fall apart because we have some people with bleeding hearts out there. Well, we just need this. Then you can go over to that country and teach them what you know so they don't have brain drain, so they can keep all of that education there. How about that? But you don't want to do that. You don't want to give up your life and go over there because those people aren't going to respect you and they're not going to care. And they're going to continue to live in their squalor. I don't want that brought here. We're already dealing with Epic City in Texas that they keep saying it's shut down, it's on, it's off, it's on, it's off. I want that Epic City. I want that deemed as a terrorist organization also. You're not going to come over here with your religion that's a cancer. Why don't you take that back to your own home country? I'm just saying, build up your own country where your religion is from. Stop coming over here to the United States. Yeah, they want a better life, all right. They want a better life to destroy our country. And I'm demanding that it be shut down. Yeah. I'm not going to play nice in the sandbox with that one because there's nothing nice about it. You don't care about me. You don't care about this country. You care about what you can get from everybody. That's what you care about. Let's just keep that real. So some of the resources is it said destination city county resources for newly arrived migrants. Now, these people aren't even legal, y'all, that they're able to help. So they don't even know who they're helping. They could be helping somebody that's an axe murderer. They don't care because they're not vetting these people. They're just, oh, you're not from here? Let us give you stuff. Let us help you get a job. Let us help you get education. Let us get some housing and all these other things. You know what that's called in the Constitution? It's called treason. When you give enemies aid and comfort. And our president has already said that this is an invasion. Okay? He already said it's an invasion. What's happening to our country? So Cities for Action, you are facilitating an invasion. Again, I want you deemed as a terrorist organization. You are supporting terrorism. You are supporting this invasion. I want you shut down and investigated. DOJ, I need you on this job today. Today. FBI, whoever, get this done because this is happening in Baltimore. Wow, shocker. Boston, Denver, Houston, Los Angeles, shocker. Miami-Dade County, interesting. DeSantis, get on your job, sir. This is in your backyard. You better figure it out and fix it. Montgomery County, which is Maryland, interesting. New York City, not shocked. Philadelphia, not shocked. Princeton, New Jersey, San Diego, California, San Francisco, California, not shocked. St. Louis, Missouri, a little bit shocked. Seattle, Washington, not shocked. Okay, but what you'll see, what you didn't see on there is you didn't see Illinois. You didn't see Chicago. You didn't see any parts of Texas. You didn't see Georgia. You didn't see maybe Alabama or Mississippi. Yeah, you didn't see those states, Arkansas, Tennessee, right? But there shouldn't be any states participating in this. There shouldn't be anyone on this soil participating and the demise of our country. And that's what this is. You're writing policy for people who aren't even from here? Are you insane? This is treasonous. This right here, Cities for Action. Again, Trump administration, I need you on this. If you don't know about it, you've heard from me today, and I'm calling it. I want the UN shut down, ONA shut down, Cities for Action shut down, because they are all terrorist organizations and they are causing terror on our soil. I don't care where else they want to go and cause terror. Okay? Not my concern. If you want to go to Canada and do this nonsense, then go to Canada. If you want to go to South America and do this nonsense, go to South America. But you're not going to do it here. You're not going to use our tax dollars against us here, because I guarantee you that this is all funded by our tax dollars, because it already said in the beginning that this is run at the local level. So they're using our tax resources for individuals coming here. It says how migrants, not individuals applying for legal immigration. No, it says migrants, which means it includes all of them. Legal and illegal, probably, but more than likely illegal, because it said migrants. These people are criminals, and I need it shut down. And I do not want a penny more going to this organization. I want them shut down. They need to be. So about us, let's see. Cities for Action is a coalition of more than 200 mayors and county executives advocating for pro-immigrant federal policies and launching innovative and inclusive programs and policies at the local level. That wonderful inclusivity language that we read on the UN website. Yeah, this, like I said, it's a cult. It's a complete religion, and you see it playing out. So their priorities are public safety, advancing immigrant rights. What right do you have coming on my soil? And I said my soil. You don't have any rights. If you don't come here legally, and there is a process to come here legally, you don't have rights. Because if you come here properly, you have to denounce your country. Oh yeah. You got to denounce where you're from, and you have to pledge allegiance to this country. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine. Go home. Don't be here. But I want to read it. It says, defending the rights of immigrant residents, advancing immigration protections locally and nationally, and responding to threats of immigration policies. You know what? I got your threat to immigration policy. Go on. Because see, we can shut this border down at any time and refuse to let anybody in this country ever again. I don't think people understand it. Do you hear me? We can shut this down today. All the president will have to do is say, you know what? Our border is closed and nobody comes through here. And I mean it. Now, he did the 1798 Act of Invasion, but when I say our border is closed, that means nobody gets to apply for immigration. Period. No HB1 visas, nothing. Shut down. That's where we need to be right now. Again, President Trump, if you are listening, shut this down. Period. After seeing what happened in Los Angeles, I'm good. I'm good. You have shown me exactly who you are. I believe you. You hate this country. You need to go home. And it's disgusting that our military has to be brought out to wrangle up these people. But you know what? If it has to be done, it's going to be done today. You're going to find out today. You're not going to come on our soil and defecate on us and then demand we pay for you to be here. No, not a thing. It's not going to be a thing. Civic inclusion, promoting policies and programs that support immigration, inclusion, and engagement in civic life. I got your civics for you. How about you learn about our country? and defending it. You don't want to teach people that. You want to teach people what you want them to hear and what you want to hear, that anybody and everybody can come here and have due process, that anybody and everybody can come here and have a baby and that baby be a United States citizen just willy-nilly. No. Again, you are a terrorist organization operating under the cloth of we're trying to help people. I want you investigated and shut down. I know people are like, well, man, Dr. Nichols, yo, you just raw today. I am. Because it's my home. And I'm not going to let people just come into my house and act crazy and then make me pay for it. It's that part for me. You want me to act like none of this is happening. This is happening. You don't care about our country. You don't want to be here. You want to invade here. And there's a difference. You don't want to live amongst us. You want the ability to terrorize U.S. citizens without repercussion. No, you're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. But let's look at, this is interesting. I do want to look at this, especially when it comes to Tulsi Gabbard, because she served our country. She is a U.S. veteran, but she was put on a terrorist watch list. I don't think a lot of people know that. But the Trump administration to end TSA's Quiet Skies domestic surveillance program. And so this Quiet Skies program, I think people were just allowed to just throw people on there without any due process. Citizens of the United States get due process, by the way. So the Trump administration is planning to discontinue the Transportation Security Administration's TSA Quiet Skies domestic surveillance program, which has been criticized for tracking U.S. citizens not suspected of any crimes. Again, Tulsi Gabbard, veteran, former congresswoman, was on the list. Was on this list. So the program, which began in 2010, identifies travelers who could present an elevated risk to aviation security using a variety of data, including facial recognition software and identification of suspicious travel patterns. However, it has also been scrutinized for its lack of transparency, with the criteria for being placed on or removed from the Quiet Skies list largely hidden from the public. The program has been linked to inconvenient and invasive searches for some Americans at U.S. airports. The Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said the program was weaponized under the Biden administration, and since its existence has failed to stop a single terrorist attack, while costing U.S. taxpayers roughly $200 million a year. $200 million we've been paying since 2010. It's 15 years. I don't even want to do the math. I'm upset. I want money back. And you wonder why we're in a deficit. Well, here's your sign right here. So for context, the TSA surveillance efforts drew criticism for its inclusion of high-profile individuals, including Tulsi Gabbard, a former Democrat congresswoman who is now Trump's director of national intelligence. The circumstances that led to these individuals being monitored under Quiet Skies, as well as the process for removing someone from the list, have been a source of controversy in legal battles. Because like I said before, you could be put on the list and not even know it. But then when you investigate, how do I get off the list? They can't even tell you. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, she spent years trying to figure out how to get her life back with this list. It's crazy. So CBS on the left first broke the story and summarized the program. The Daily Caller, that link's right, emphasized specific cases where the program has been used controversially, such as the surveillance of Gabbard. And so I don't know if anybody remembers this, but she at one point was running for U.S. She was running for president of the United States. I want to say it was her and Hillary when Hillary ran. So that would have been the 2016 election. And she made some statements during a debate. And shortly after that debate and the election cycle, she was put on the list. Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard was put on the list. She spoke out against some things that were happening with the prior Clinton administration and with Hillary and got put on that list and had to fight for years to clear her name and get off of that list. It's this inside terrorism that's going on that needs to stop. That's why my outcry for Cities for Action and ONA need to be shut down. The UN needs to be abolished, or the United States. I just don't want us to be a part of it. If all those other countries want to, you can be a part of the United Nations. I don't care. Don't bring that mess over here. Keep it out of here. It will be illegal in the United States to participate with the United Nations. How about that? And I'm good with it. I am totally good with that because you're nothing more than a terrorist organization. You support terrorism. You support anti-human policies. You don't care about human beings. You don't. Because if you did, a lot of these third world countries would be built up already. You've been around long enough to be successful. You have no success rate. You have a death rate, but you have no success rate. None. None whatsoever. And that's what the American people want. We want success. We want people to prosper and flourish. It's not that we don't. We want them to. But as an American citizen, I don't want you doing it on my dime. That's what I don't want. I don't know how everybody else feels about it. I don't want it. I did want to see, I found an article regarding Newsom, Governor Newsom of California. I was hoping I would find an article because I know we're getting ready to wrap it up. I had to put my hat down, kind of squeezing off my head. But again, y'all, today, you go outside, I don't know what you got with Old Glory, but wear it. Wear it proudly. Wear your red, white, and blue. If you do not have a flag to wear, that's fine. But wear your red, white, and blue today, showing your support for America and that you do not support this illegal invasion of our country, that you want ICE to do their job and you want them to do their job with safety. We need to put pressure and demand that Governor Newsom do his job. You know, I know President Trump has had to step in because he's not doing his job. But we do have to put that demand on the governor. You need to tell these people in the Los Angeles area, stand down, or you will go to jail. If you interrupt federal employees from doing their job, if you terrorize employees from doing their job, you will go to prison and you will be subject to the highest penalties that the law can offer. That's where I'm at. Newsom, you need to get on it, bro. So Newsom says California will sue Trump over National Guard dares Homan to arrest him. Homan, bruh, if you're listening, I am fully in support. I am fully in support of it. Go get him, sir. You have the support of every to shut this down. Okay. You got my support. I don't know anybody else. If you support Homan, you know what I'm saying? That's one of those things. Give me a thumbs up in the chat. Yeah. This dude California Governor Gavin Newsom said California will sue the Trump administration on Monday over its deployment of the National Guard to quell Los Angeles protests against federal immigration raids. Well, Gavin, if you were watching the videos, they needed to be there so ICE could do their job. So ICE could do their job because apparently the mayor of Los Angeles has lost full control. You have no control. That's why they were there. Because guess what? Your police department has no control. Nobody respects the police in the Los Angeles area. Okay? Just letting you know if you're listening. In an interview Sunday evening on MSNBC, Newsom said the lawsuit would challenge Trump's federalizing of the California National Guard without states' consent, a move with little precedent in U.S. history. Okay, I'm going to stop there because I know I'm going to keep reading. Okay, Gavin, well, you weren't doing anything. And President Trump needed to protect those federal agents to do their job. You weren't doing your job. And guess what? At the president's behest, he can override you, sir, when you're not doing your job. You're not doing your job, Gavin. Hello, newsflash. You will never be president of this country. If any of us have anything to do about it, you are done, sir. You are done. Just stay on your little podcast. Okay? Stay on your little podcast. Because that's all you got. That's all you got. Nobody's going. Everybody's shutting this down. So Donald Trump has created the conditions you see on your TV tonight. Donald Trump is responsible for this? For your dumpster fire? Okay. He exacerbated the conditions. He's, little lit the proverbial match. He's putting fuel on this fire ever since he announced he was taking over the National Guard, an illegal act, an immoral act, an unconstitutional act, Newsom said on MSNBC. And we're going to test that theory with a lawsuit tomorrow, he added. Asked to elaborate on the lawsuit, Newsom said that under Trump's executive order, it specifically notes and under what the Department of Defense did is they had to coordinate with the governor of the state. They never coordinated with the governor of the state, he said. Newsom noted that he has deployed the National Guard before to respond to various emergencies. We have no problem collaborating in mutual aid systems with local law enforcement, but there's a protocol, there's a process. He didn't care about that. And the worst part, he completely lied, he said. The governor pointed to Trump's Truth Social post earlier on Sunday, in which he said the National Guard had done a great job. Newsom said the state forces had not even been deployed at that time. It's Orwellian, simply lying to people, unconstitutional legal act, his mess. We're trying to clean it up, he added. Later in the interview, Newsom was asked about border czar Tom Homan's comments indicating he would not rule out arresting Newsom or Los Angeles Mayor Bass if they interfered with his efforts. Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with, tough guy. I don't give but I care about my community. I care about this community, he continued. Okay. The H are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop, and we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating and is exhausting. Newsom added, so Tom, arrest me. Let's go. Okay, here's the issue. Yeah, they might have had the back and forth, but at the end of it, if, I should say, and I will say it's big if President Trump deployed the National Guard without coordinating with the governor, the question will be why? The question will be, did you make efforts to contact the governor, and did the governor refuse to contact you? You know what I'm saying? It will come back to that. And even if it does, Newsom, Bass, you were not making an effort to quelch what was happening, because the police department can only do so much. The sheriff's department can only do so much. And they were overrun by the protesters. They were. So I'm pretty sure between the sheriff's office and the police department, they were asking for assistance. And that next level of defense is the National Guard. So the cry and the plea did come from somewhere. And even if it didn't come from the president, I'm sure that cry and plea did come from somewhere. But again, if they did not coordinate with you, that will be to state, well, was there reasonable evidence? We'll just say, was there reasonable evidence that the president had to jump over the governor to make sure that these federal employees were safe? And I'm going to lean on that. Yeah, because the sheriffs and the police officers were overrun. They had lost all the ability that they had to defend those federal agents. So, yeah, without your consent, Gavin, he did have to call in the National Guard to protect the federal agents that were just there doing their job, because you weren't going to do it. And you put everybody at risk. Yeah, this falls at your feet, sir. And you're gloating and being like, well, you can send me to jail. Yeah, you need to go to prison. And I'm sure we're going to find a whole bunch of other crimes that you committed behind that. So thank you for being very narcissistic, because I will enjoy seeing you go to jail. And I'm sure they'll make a big to-do out of it. And it'll be like, oh my gosh, they've put Gavin in jail. And then we'll talk about it for a few days. And then you'll get out on bail and you'll do a press conference and you'll probably say, that's true because it's true. You'll do your whole little thing. But you were not protecting your people in the state of California. I grew up there. I've seen better leadership. And I know what it looks like. And it's not you. It's not Maxine Waters. It's not Karen Bass. What all three of you have done in coordination, and I'm not leaving out any other leaders from that state, you've destroyed a beautiful state. And it's disgusting. And we're really praying for the people of California that it can be salvaged. We're hoping against hope. So with that, we're going to close down the program for today. But thank you, everybody, for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News. We'll be back tomorrow for Tell It All Tuesday. But today was our recap just of the news that's happened over the weekend. So again, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. And we'll see you tomorrow.